Hey Disney Cruisers, and welcome back to the DCL Community Channel. We are so excited to have you guys here tonight talking about a really fun topic, Disney cruising for couples. So come on in and let us know when you're joining, where you're joining us from, and if you and your loved one have a couples cruise booked or if you're thinking about it. We're excited to hear and celebrate with you guys. But you guys know me. I'm Rebecca. I'm the admin of the DCL community. We're so excited tonight to be joined by the wonderful Crissi O'Kane. Crissi, do you want to introduce yourself quickly?
Yes. Hi, I'm Crissi O'Kane. I'm with Academy Travel, and I love this group, and I love Disney Cruise Line. And I am very fortunate that I do most of my cruising with just my spouse. And he is just a blast, and Disney Cruise Line is one of our favorites. So I'm super excited to share our tips and tricks of having the perfect couples cruise on board Disney Cruise Line.
Yes, I'm excited to learn too. I know this is a hot topic. Lots of people, they want to get away, whether it's just them or if they're cruising with their kids. How can they make that cruise special for them as a couple? So the goal of the Disney Cruise Line community, we're here to help you guys plan the perfect Disney cruise, and that includes us big kids who are probably paying for the cruise. But if you guys need any help in your planning, you can always reach out to Crissi. There's a link on the screen, and we'll put it in the comments as well. Her services are totally free to you, which I know is mind-blowing, but she's here to help you plan your Disney cruise for $0 to you. So feel free to reach out to her. But if there's and want to make sure I mention, if you have any questions throughout this, put them in the comments. We'll do our best to answer as many of them as possible. And you can always reach out to Crissi. But with that in mind, Crissi, should we get started?
Let's do it. Let's get started. So I put together some fun slides to kind of just do a quick little presentation on DCL for couples. So this is us. We love Disney Cruise Line. This is us at Castaway. Castaway is an amazing destination for all types of families, big and small, every age group. But when you're there as just a couple, it is a great place to do all kinds of things, not just relax. So we'll get into that on, I think, my next slide. Let's do it. So the way I really see Disney Cruise Line as on a couple's vacation is I like to really emphasize all of the included dates. And we use the term date night a lot, but a lot of these things happen actually during the daytime. So I just call them dates in general. So something that I think is really cool with Disney Cruise Line that's different from other cruise lines is the rotational dining concept of getting to go to a different restaurant every night. I mean, there's 3 total, but you move around and stuff. So it's not like you're at the same place every night. And if you request a private table, you now have an amazing little dinner date every night. And requesting a private table used to be something you had to call in for or have your agent call in for, but now you can actually do it right in the Navigator app or online. It's super easy. It's not a guarantee, but it's super easy, lots of fun, and a great way to have a romantic dinner. It's also not mandatory. You're still totally having a great vacation if you sit with other people at dinner. Either way.
Yeah, and question for you on that. If me and my better half, if we're social butterflies and we want to sit with other people, is that something that you can request too?
Yes. And so you can kind of request a table. There's all kinds of different things. You can request a large table. You can request a small table. You can request private dining. You can request to be by the window. You can request to be in the center of the restaurant. There's lots of different little dining requests that you can make. But I will say that if you do not request a private table, you will not get a private table. Put it that way.
Got it. Okay, good to know. And I will say, I know a lot of people have been asking lately about where's the best place to sit in the dining room. There's no bad
there's
tables,
no bad place,
right?
Yeah, there's no bad table. Some restaurants, it really kind of depends on your needs. And I've talked about this in my kind of special needs planning videos. There are quieter spots than others. So requesting a quiet place may be something that helps you if that is something. And I do work with adults with special needs too. So sometimes, just needing a quiet space in a restaurant can be really helpful for adults with all kinds of, things like frequent migraines and things like that. So, there are some better spots than others depending on specific needs. But if you're really just trying to have the best view, anywhere.
Yes, agreed. Sorry to interrupt. You keep going.
Oh, that's okay. Interrupt all the time. So my next one that I point out is room service. And I really enjoy having room service in 2 times of the day. delivered, and I enjoy eating it on my balcony. I love having breakfast on my balcony. It's like a little nice breakfast date at sea. And then I love having like midnight milk and cookies delivered. And I also take that out on the balcony. You certainly don't like, I put my note about room service on the balcony. Room service is included whether you have a balcony or not. So the balcony is irrelevant. Room service is always included. It is nice if you tip the delivery person, but the room service items themselves are included. But it's such an easy way to just kind of start your morning with a little breakfast date or end your evening with milk and cookies, like a little childhood nostalgia date, right?
Right. Yes. What's better than milk and cookies and
What is better
warm
than
milk
that?
and
And
cookies?
when you call them at like midnight and ask for milk and cookies, you know, in your mind, you're like, oh, they're going to be judging me. But no, actually, they're like, how many would you like? And it's like,
Yes.
so nice. Well, we'll have that to you shortly. Have a magical evening. Oh,
Yes.
wow. And then they
No
deliver your milk
judgment.
and you're like 6 chocolate chip cookies and it's just wonderful.
Yes.
But next one is a movie date, and this is something that's also exclusive to Disney Cruise Line. You can see they have an actual movie theater on board, so there's also movies played at the pool. But then in the Buena Vista Theater, you can have a movie date. Go buy cabanas beforehand, get some snacks, or you can purchase popcorn on your way in. But that is for purchase. But you can also just hack that by getting free snacks and bringing them with you. So again, we will bring milk and cookies into the movie theater. And then have a movie date. Check your navigator in the morning, see what movies are playing, and hit up your favorite one. Also, generally, whatever is currently in theaters will be played on Disney Cruise Line. So it's kind of like you're getting a free movie ticket with your cruise, right? So that's lots of fun.
No, we do that all the time. We're like, we're going to save it for the cruise. We'll save it for the cruise. So that it is kind of free in air quotes.
Exactly, right. It's included with your cruise, right?
Yes.
And you'll have a really different mix of movies shown on board. Generally, whatever is currently in theaters within the Disney company will be on board. But then you'll have kind of classic movies. You'll have some of the Marvel movies, not just on Marvel Day at Sea Sailings. They're just all kinds of things that are all under that Disney umbrella will be played on board. So really, if you're sailing with somebody, like in my case, my husband's not as big of a Disney fan as I am, we can have a Marvel movie date, and that's a lot of fun for him. So there's just, lots of ways to really cater to everybody's interests. Also, like game nights. Game nights are so much fun. We had a blast. Well, first of all, the diaper dash is our favorite game, even though we can't participate.
Yes.
We do participate in our own way by placing wagers, maybe predictions. We'll call it predictions. It's not actually just like predictions on which baby is going to win, and then also which baby is going to quit mid and cry. Those are the two things that we predict. One will win, and we also pick which baby is just not going to be able to finish.
And for those who don't know, the diaper dash is like the highlight of the cruise. It's totally free. So anybody can go, and it's just babies racing. From one parent to another.
So funny. Why is it so funny? I don't know, but it's so funny.
Well, it's just these babies, and it's, like 2 or 3 levels worth of people just cheering them on. Yeah. It's so fun. And I see we have some great questions from Jordan.
Please. I can't see them. Please share.
Oh, no, you're fine. You guys, we'll get to your questions here in a little bit. So hang tight on those. We see them, and we will absolutely answer.
Yes. So my next one is the theater night. And this one, again, I think is something that's really important to consider as part of the value of your cruise. The cost of going to go and see Disney on Broadway is significant, especially that's added travel cost too, usually. You have that on board. So cool, right? So make it a date out of it. Get dressed up, celebrate it. Don't see entertainment as just kind of like part of the cruise experience. Like make it something special to you if that's something special to you. And then on the flip side, during the daytime, there's a pool on board, but turn it into a date. Like, have coordinated swimsuits. Have just a fun, silly pool day.
I love that idea.
And then the same thing with the Vista Gallery. This is actually one of our favorite things to do is, again, we'll hit up cabanas on the way and just get some Diet Cokes. But also, if you guys are more coffee people, grab your coffees, go to Cove Cafe, and then take a stroll through the art gallery. Again, that's a date night that takes a lot of planning, coordination, and usually costs extra here at home to go and stroll through one of the art galleries. Well, they have one on board. It's a lot of fun. And then another one that really takes minimal planning, it's happening almost all the time, is to just have a live music relaxing date on the ship. This is one thing that my husband, like I said, is not as big of a Disney fan as I am. And this is something that he looks forward to the most on Disney Cruise Line. I will betray his secrets a little bit, that his favorite moment on Disney Cruise Line is not actually any of the Marvel fun things that we've done, right? It's not anything I thought it would be. It is sitting in pink, having the live violinist. I was stunned. And he was like, no, that was just so nice. I felt like the whole world was catering to me. I felt so relaxed, and the atmosphere was so beautiful, and you were so beautiful, which like, oh, felt my heart, right? And then we were already just having this perfect, calm, very relaxed moment. And this was in the evening when there were not children. And then there was a live violinist just strolling through, and it was just magical. And I was like, yes, Disney, it's just magical. And so for him, that's what makes Disney Cruise Line magical, not Mickey Mouse.
And there's so much live music around the ship, whether
So
it's
much
a
live music.
violinist or a
Exactly.
pianist. There's somebody singing maybe reggae music on deck one day. And this is why so many people want to plan like every second of their day on board. Don't do that, because then you miss out on moments like this. You don't know ahead of time who's going to be in what bar or lounge.
Right.
So you plan every single second, or you might miss out.
You might miss out on something that turns out to be the thing that you enjoyed most when it was really just casual time. And then I do have a note about Castaway, and this is something that really can be a different style date for everybody. And Castaway, of course, is not included on all itineraries, but if it is included, it is a great date day. It can be beach lounging all day. You can have a snorkel date. I love, love, love to do snorkel dates. And what we do is we pick a buoy and we'll race to it and then see who can get to that sunken item first. And then whoever, like that person gets a point. And then at the end, whoever has like the most points gets to decide what we do on board once we go back on the ship, whether it's, you know, getting if I win, we go to Vanellope's and get an ice cream. If my husband wins, we probably go to the movie theater.
Love it. And for those who don't know, there are sunken objects at Castaway that make snorkeling so much fun. They're magical objects.
Magical objects. But you can do biking, you can do hiking, you can even do a 5K if you're like active type people. We're not the type of people to just sit and look at each other all day. So that's what I really like about Castaway, is that there's that option. You can just sit and watch the waves all day, or you can be really active all throughout the day as well. And all of it's included in your cruise. So how nice is that?
Yes. And before we move on, do you mind if we answer a couple of questions?
Please, ask away.
So we got a question from Brenda. So she's saying this is her first Disney cruise, and she's just bummed that they couldn't get a cabana or Palo brunch or some of the excursion because they're not platinum. So she kind of wishes that there was a way to do them. Any advice for her?
So definitely keep checking availability. The cabana, it is a bummer. They are very limited, so they do go quickly to platinum and concierge guests. But what I would recommend for the cabana, so we'll do first the cabana and then we'll do Palo, and then we'll do excursion. So for the cabana, I would recommend getting to Castaway early, picking your spot, and have your beach time early before it gets crowded. It'll still, there's tons of seating. So kind of find your spot and make it your own, and it will be okay.
Seating and shade. There's
tons of seating, tons of shade. Exactly.
Umbrellas, hammocks, lots of options.
Yes. For Palo Brunch, definitely check checking your Navigator app frequently, but then also check once you're on board too. You know, there is extra availability for guests to book on board. Limited, but there is some. So check on board. And then if you can't do that, don't forget that the main dining rooms are open during lunch. You're not limited to just cabanas or Marceline Market. And I find these to be a really nice opportunity to just have something more upscale feeling, more relaxed, and, you know, have table service and everything. Again, it makes a nice date activity while everybody's, you know, getting their fill of amazing food over at Cabanas or Marceline Market. Yes. And for excursions, again, just keep checking, but also know that all Disney's excursions and destinations are awesome, and you'll still be able to plan a great day. Feel free to message me privately if you need suggestions for kind of excursion replacements at your specific destination.
Yeah, and keep in mind, I know all of these things sound wonderful and you see them ahead of time in the app, but like we're saying, there's so much more to do on board once you get there. And that's why, like Crissi's saying, things open up
Yeah.
I'm sailing in 2 weeks now, and 2 cabanas just opened up. Now,
Oh.
will those I mean, they're probably gone already, but
Yeah.
things do change, people's plans change, so keep checking, but no, I wouldn't personally place a whole lot of pressure on having those because I've
You'll have so much.
I've been on 20 plus Disney cruises and I've only done Palo Brunch once, and I still have an amazing time because of the dining rooms and the other dining
Mhm.
options. We've never had a cabana. Yes, they're wonderful, but it's not necessary. It is what you make it. So
Exactly.
don't put too much stock in that.
Exactly.
Um, and then we have a question here. Best beach excursion for myself and wife who's in a wheelchair to get into the water or parasail. I think it's probably going to depend what itinerary they're on, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it would definitely depend on your destination. When you are and feel free to message me privately with your, I'll happily help you out even if you're already booked. But this is a difficult question to answer without knowing specifically which destination. But when you're browsing excursion options, you can select the accessibility tabs that you see on the accessible options. So you should be good. That will really show you what your options are very easily.
Yes, and I'm going to put a link in the comments now to Chrissy's page so you can reach out with any specifics. We have a question here from Jordan. What about monthly payments or cancellation fees if something happens? Will I get charged for a cancellation fee? Or what if someone in my group ends up not being able to go? Can you change their name?
Gotcha. So, as far as monthly payments, so Disney currently, typically there's a 20% deposit due at time of booking. Right now, for the next 2 days, there is a 50% off deposit. So deposits are approximately 10% right now. And then final payment is going to be due at 90 or 120 days prior to sail, depending on the length of sailing. And at that point, that is when your cancellation penalties begin. So if you cancel after that, then there would be a penalty. If you cancel before that, there's no penalty. If you're just doing a name change, it depends on several different circumstances. If it's the lead guest, then that requires a little bit more maneuvering. If it's not the lead guest, then it's typically easy to do without any cost difference. But it is a case by case kind of basis, depending on what you're doing. Especially if you're changing like a child to an adult or something like that, then you would have a cost increase as well.
Yeah, I would say reach out to Chrissy. As you guys can tell, she's super duper knowledgeable. And I mean, depending on exactly what room categories you have too, there's lots of things that can change here. So just talk it through with her on what you're thinking, and she can help give a recommendation that would be best for you. Can we meet up with any characters on the ship?
Oh, absolutely. So character meet and greets are all over. They'll be posted in your Navigator app each morning. There's a tab that's just for characters, which is super fantastic. I do recommend arriving, like if the character meet and greet is like 3:15 to 3:45, get there at 3 o'clock. It'll tell you exactly who is meeting. It's, Chip and Dale are meeting at the atrium steps. Great, done. Go there. And lines do form early. So I would get there at a little bit prior or right at that start of that character time. And you can wait in line together, take great couples photos, and then swap out for single photos too.
Yeah. And with that in mind, would you recommend for couples the photo package?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. So I pretty much always recommend the photo package just because you now don't have to worry about it. You don't have to worry about trying to like pass your phone to somebody, but like a stranger behind you in line. Like, you if you're going to take photos, get the photo package, pay for it up ahead of time so that you save money as opposed to buying it on board, and enjoy those memories and not have to worry about trying to, find somebody to take your picture. When you're traveling, just the two of you, this happens to us all the time. I have so many pictures of just me. It was actually hard to put this slide together because my husband's always taking the pictures. So having that photo package does really help because now you have amazing photos that you're both in.
Yes, it's so true. And Disney's now, they're doing like magic photos on the cruises
Mhm.
too. So you guys can be holding Tinkerbell or
Exactly.
whatever it might be. So definitely a good option. And like Chrissy said, if you get it ahead of time, you can save money. It is discounted.
Mhm.
So definitely check that out. Oh, great question here. Is there anything special that can be done for an anniversary cruise?
Yeah, so I know I think I have a picture upcoming, but I don't remember. I don't want to switch slides. But if you let them know that you're having an anniversary cruise, there's a couple special things. You can order gifts for yourself be delivered. But if you have an anniversary that you're celebrating on a specific night, then you can receive a special dessert. And I have a picture of my husband's, but I think it says happy birthday on it. It was his birthday, but it's the same dessert. They just say happy anniversary instead of happy birthday.
Awesome. And that's something that as a travel agent, you can help note ahead of time too,
Absolutely.
right?
I will mark it as a celebration on the reservation. Yes. And you can also go all out and schedule a vow renewal instead of just celebrate your anniversary. I did a lot of research on that. I didn't put a slide together for it because I feel like it's kind of its own separate video. And I believe we already have one within DCL community as well on weddings and honeymoons on board. But you could absolutely have a vow renewal on board too if you're celebrating one of those big milestone anniversaries or something.
Yes, and that's something that you could help plan as well, right?
Yes, yes.
Awesome.
You can add it to your booking and plan it all.
Awesome. Well, guys, I know we have some other questions. We're going to get into this slide, but we will absolutely get to everything else.
So here's a picture of my husband with his little happy birthday plate from Palo. And they'll do that for anniversaries as well. So these are kind of like add-on ideas. And there's more. These are just my kind of, top things to kind of add on to your cruise. So they're not included within your cruise fare, but they're things to also make your, couples cruise even more romantic, right? Specialty dining, Palo, Remy, Enchante, Palo Steakhouse, all wonderful options, whether it's dinner or brunch, wonderful options. Spa services, Disney does have couples massages, if that's your thing, or even getting your own separate treatments if you guys have different skin or pampering needs, just kind of scheduling some spa time at the same time. There's also the ultimate couples day of relaxation that is a wonderful treat as well. And then I love some romantic excursions. And I know that the ones I listed are very different than the picture of us. Like I mentioned, we're kind of not that typical, just stare at each other and enjoy romantic atmosphere kind of couple. We're more active. So one of our favorite excursions that we've done together as a date was a Segway tour at Blue Lagoon in Nassau.
So cool.
So fun. I did not do well with the Segway, we'll put it that way. So it's one of our favorite stories of how I got stuck by a rock, and at one point my Segway was upside down. I wasn't. No. I was standing. The Segway was up here, and the guy came and helped me. And so but the funny part is my husband just kept going.
I love him. He's dedicated to the tour.
He's like, I'm doing the Segway tour. I don't know what you're doing. But anyway.
He can help you with all your travel needs, not your Segway needs.
Correct. I am not going to give you Segway lessons. My husband could, but not me. But there's lots of romantic excursions that you could consider. Sunset catamarans are probably kind of the most popular for getting that kind of romantic vibe. But I also apparently spelled helicopter wrong, but helicopter sailings over Alaska, all kinds of really fun things to really just explore and do something new together.
Yeah. And would you say if somebody's kind of looking at their cruise budget and they're trying to prioritize, how do you talk through these add-ons with them to help them decide what's going to be best for them?
So definitely kind of look at your total budget, and rather than kind of doing say your budget's $500, rather than doing 5 things for $100, I would try to do one thing for $300 to $400, one thing for $100 to $200, and then do a couple free things, right? We had all of these previous ones that are totally free. And that way you'll end up getting a much better bang for your buck by doing something that's a bit more on the extensive side, but going to be really, really memorable, right? As opposed to doing a bunch of little $100 add-ons here and there. If you're into the spa, go ahead and book that ultimate couples day of relaxation. You'll remember it. If you're into specialty dining, go all out and book Remy. It'll be wonderful, right? Look at your own personal preferences. If you guys are explorers, book a really awesome excursion, like a helicopter tour. They have them in the Caribbean too. Something so out of this world and epic. It's going to be amazing. And instead of booking 4 or 5 smaller budget items, it just ends up kind of making you feel busy, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, that is such great advice. That's a great way to kind of compartmentalize and prioritize, but while still getting to take advantage of so many different things. I love that.
All right. Are we ready for the next slide, or do we have more questions?
We're ready.
All righty. So here are my kind of I use the word favorite, but really what I mean is kind of most recommended sailing types for couples only vacation. And they're kind of on 2 opposite ends. So the 3-night sailings on the Wish are really ideal for those kind of practical couples, especially if you're both working, or if you are a family with kiddos and somebody is watching your kiddos. It's only 3 nights. They'll survive. So, oftentimes they're also really great for missing very little work. You can expect the holiday sailings to be a little bit higher in price, but oftentimes when you compare that against, saving a full day of paid time off, so if you're already off on Monday or Friday or whatever day, then it can actually come out ahead of time, depending on, your situation. So those are really awesome sailings to consider if you are in that situation where you're both like dual professional people. Then the other really nice thing about those 3-night sailings is that it's minimal packing. And the way that I describe them is a way to like relax, unwind, and reset. So it's a really great way for couples to kind of take a break from their busy grind routine and just relax, unwind, and then reset so that you're back into your awesome routine, because you guys have a great routine established. And so you're not trying to take a vacation from your whole life. You're just trying to kind of have a little couples getaway together and go back to it. And I do have a video that Rebecca and I did a while back all about short sailings and how to get the most out of them. I think they're really ideal for couples in this situation.
Yes, and I'm going to go ahead and link that in the comments right now if you guys want to go back and watch that.
And then my other two are basically on the opposite side of the spectrum. They're going to be significantly longer in length and duration, but Alaska sailings, and then also the Mediterranean Greek Isles sailing. Disney calls it a Greek Isles sailing, but they do sail out of Rome, so it's kind of technically a Mediterranean as well. And these are just, both of these itineraries, they're very different, but they're some of the most romantic destinations you can get. On Alaska, there's always something beautiful to look at. So just like walking around, like you can literally make a date of just walking around the deck, like, and looking everywhere. And then you can also get off and explore really cool parts of nature. And if you're an American, it's part of our country that a few Americans actually get to go see. So that's a really cool thing to kind of, little box to check with your partner. And then that Greek Isles cruise, I'll be honest, like I don't think anything beats a Santorini sunset as far as like romantic vibes. Just beautiful. And it's an awesome itinerary that Disney Cruise Line is currently offering. Can't guarantee it'll be here next summer, guys. So just keep in mind on that. It was new, and I hope that they continue to do it. But these the June sailings are getting close to full, and it is just every one of these that I'm currently planning, I'm like beyond jealous of. Like this looks like just the most romantic vacation.
Oh my gosh, yes. I agree. I cannot imagine anything more romantic. And if you're thinking about planning these, I'm going to go ahead and link these other videos that Crissi's talking about in the comments. So we've got the Alaska one, and then we'll send over tips for planning the best 7 or more night cruises if you're thinking about something like that. But do you have time for a couple more questions?
I do.
Okay, awesome. So we got a question about the size of the beds in the cabin. Are they queen or king?
They are two like twins that combine into a like royal king or whatever. So it's kind of an in-between-ish size, I would say, if it's compared to the standard queens and standard kings that you buy at furniture stores.
Got it. Makes sense. Are the same characters on all of the ships?
Mostly. In general, it's not the ship that changes characters. It's like the itinerary. So if you're sailing on one of the themed itineraries with Pixar or Marvel, you'll have characters that aren't on other ships. If you're sailing over in, you're doing one of the either Alaska or one of the Northern Europe sailings through Iceland, you'll have more Frozen characters, that type of thing. So it's not like the Dream has different characters than the Fantasy or things like that. With the exception of dining, you do have like Tiana at Tiana's Place restaurant, and you have Rapunzel, Flynn, and all of the, what do you call them? The burly dudes from the inn,
the
right?
ugly duckling men.
Ugly duckling guys, yeah. So the ugly duckling guys are not on any other ship. So there's one exception, but Rapunzel is on other ships. So within those dinings, you do have some characters you can really only find. That's as far as character meets. The other big difference is going to be shows. So if you're looking for a specific character show, then you would want to be really kind of doing some research on which ship has that show. For instance, like Beauty and the Beast is only on the Dream. You've got Little Mermaid on the Wish. So lots of shows are only on one ship.
Yeah, definitely good things to keep in mind if there's character priorities. We got a question about, is the Fantasy Spa wheelchair accessible?
Yes. So all of Disney's spas are wheelchair accessible. It's definitely something you want to kind of have a plan for and know what you're, and know what activities you're planning on doing in your spa experience. But all of Disney's spas are wheelchair accessible. Yes.
Awesome. And we got this question from Brenda. I booked Palo on our first night. Is that a wise idea or should we wait for another night?
It's debatable. If this is your very first cruise, I would consider switching it if there is an option to be able to be present for sail away. If it's not, then you may really just want to be at Palo instead and not feel like you're missing out on much. Typically, on your dining rotation, if it's like a longer sailing, then you're going to repeat to that restaurant later on in the cruise anyway. If it's a shorter sailing, your night one, that is the only night you're going to that restaurant most likely. So you may want to consider moving your Palo to night 2 or night 3. It's really personal. Feel free to message me kind of your personal situation and I can give you some advice on it. But I'll be honest, the Palo food, it tastes the same no matter which night you go. And it's a lovely experience no matter which night you go.
Yes, agreed. We love to go to Palo earlier in our sailings just because as you go, you get to really get to know your serving team. And we just love having those relationships that we build. And,
Right.
if we go later, then we feel like we're missing them.
We're missing them. Yeah. What did they do without us?
Right. They become part of the family. So,
Exactly.
Brenda, if that's your only option on whatever sailing it is, I would say stick with it.
Yeah.
It's going to be amazing no matter what you do. Question about other cruise lines. If we are going just with just a couple, is Disney the best option?
It really depends on what you're looking for. Disney's a great option for some couples. There could be other options that work better for other couples, depending on what you're looking for. If you want like a completely adults only cruise line, there is an option now, sailing out the US. There did not used to be, now there is. If you want a cruise line that has more athletic type activities on board, like rock walls and ice skating and bumper cars and laser tag, then you could consider Royal Caribbean. If you want a cruise line that's just at a lower price point, then you could consider MSC, still an amazing cruise line, super value price point. So there's all kinds of different options out there, but I think Disney is an excellent option for couples really looking to unwind, relax. Even if you don't necessarily super love Disney, you will love Disney's fine service, and Disney touches on detail and detail-oriented service.
Yes. And we got another question to follow that up. If we're cruising with our kids and we want to do one of these date nights, what do we do with our kids? Great question.
Great question. And something that I actually thought about, like, how do I work into the slide, or work into a slide here is like kind of the benefit of Kids Club when you are sailing on Disney Cruise Line, even if you don't personally have kids. This is something that I always kind of like personally cringe because Kids Club is included in the cost of your cruise, but we don't have kids. So it's like we're paying for this thing we're not using. And I'm like, this is annoying. But actually, I am using Kids Club. I'm using it in the fact that the kids are there so much compared to other cruise lines. Other cruise lines, kids clubs are still there, but generally kids go for like an activity, like from 2 to 3, they're doing this. Disney Oceaneer Club and Oceaneer Lab, those kids, like, you have to drag them out. They're there all day.
Yes.
And so when you're touring the ship, like, you can just go stroll through the art gallery and there's not kids there. It's not an adults only space. It's just that the kids have so much amazing space dedicated to them that they're not at, some of the community spaces. So there is an adults only section of the pool. So there's an adults only pool area on all of Disney's ships. And then there's also a family pool area. And at times it will be pretty crowded, but then at other times it really won't be because the kids are at Kids Club and it's amazing. And so if you're trying to do a date night and you have kids, they can go to Oceaneer Club and Lab.
I was going to say, so often I feel like people assume because it's a Disney cruise, there's just going to be kids everywhere. And there are some days where I might see a handful, but because of all the adult only sections and because of all the kids activities, there's a lot of separation there. So you're right. We may not be personally utilizing the kids club,
right?
But it's benefiting us
from it. Yes.
Yes.
And we can go visit Kids Club during open house hours. And there are things that adults may enjoy there, like characters or driving the Millennium Falcon.
Yes, absolutely. I love getting behind the Toy Story car, RC.
Yes.
Kids Club. It's so fun no matter how old you are.
Yes.
And what about if people are thinking, okay, we want to get a date night away, but what do we do with our kids at dinner time? If we want to do Palo dinner,
what I recommend is double dinner. So what you'll do is if you have the like 5:45 dinner time, you want to make your Palo reservation for later in the evening. So that way you have time to take your kids to dinner. And while you're at dinner, there's no judgment. Have double dinner, but definitely save room for Palo. And then you'll take your kids to kids club after dinner. They do not provide dinner at kids club, so you do need to feed them. And then you'll go to Palo and have your amazing dinner, and then pick the kids up afterward.
Yeah, easy peasy.
Or vice versa, right? If you have the second seating, then make your Palo reservation earlier, take the kids to kids clubs, go have Palo, and then come back and get them afterward. The other option is to take the kiddos through one of the kind of quick service by the pool and get them a quick snack, or order room service and do it that way, and then just miss out on your main dining room rotation that night, and provide the kids dinner of either from near the pool deck options or room service options for dinner, and then the adults go to Palo for dinner.
Yes, the kids will not starve. I don't think anyone has ever starved on a Disney cruise.
No one has starved on a Disney cruise, in fact.
And we got this question from Jordan. What would you recommend for a young couple in their 20s who might be a little bit more budget conscious?
Yeah, so look at a shorter sailing, right? That's the easiest way to budget, is looking at shorter sailings. Right now, it's a little bit of a tricky spot because the shortest sailings, most of them are on the Wish. So they are a little bit higher in price point than shorter sailings on older ships, but you can find some. There are some 4 nights on the Dream. The Wonder had a 2-night out of San Diego. Like, man, that was a steal. And you get all that Disney experience. You get to go on the ship, but it's at a much lower price point than looking at a 7-night cruise. The other option is to just kind of look at deals, right? Wait for those guarantee room rates to come out. That's a great way to save money on a sailing. And then I will always tell my clients too that, like, if I'm on the verge of feeling like a trip is too expensive, what are things I can cost, or I can cut? How are ways to cut costs? And one of the first ones to look at is switching your room type. You will still have an amazing time in an inside room if that savings means that you're more comfortable with the budget of this cruise. I do not like, one of my favorite life lessons was my wedding planner, actually, that said, listen, I make commission. Like, the more you spend, the more I make. But I don't allow any of my clients to go in debt over a wedding. I do the same thing. I don't allow my clients to go in debt over a vacation. Don't do it. There's no point. Let's find a budget that you are comfortable with, and how can we make you the best vacation within that budget? And don't rule out inside rooms are a great way to save a lot of money. Guarantee rate rooms, great way to save a lot of money. There's really no horrible room on a Disney Cruise Line ship. The cost of guarantee rooms is not Disney selecting your rooms. It's the refundability, right? It's immediately non-refundable. So that's really, but because of that, you're now saving like 35%. So, hey, I'll take it.
That's a great thing to just talk through with Crissi. Jordan, I would recommend reaching out to her, let her know your budget. And one of the perks about working with a travel planner is that they're tied into all of the discounts and promotions that Disney has going on. So Disney had the Disney Plus deal that they launched. They've never done that before. The 50% off deposits, they've never done that before. So this is a great way to make sure that if there's a deal out there floating around that can be applied to your cruise, and maybe you can get some savings back. On a recent cruise, I ended up getting a little bit of it wasn't huge, but it was a little bit of a refund from Disney because port taxes changed.
Yeah.
I mean, there's ways to do it. You just, working with someone makes it so much easier.
Absolutely.
And this is a good one. What time of the year are there more adults than kids on a cruise?
So it varies. And in all throughout the travel industry, we're seeing kind of a shift in client behavior. So you definitely want to avoid summer break and spring break. And I will personally tell you that I have 8 different weeks throughout the year that clients are telling me is their kids' spring break. Like, spring break is no longer just like the week before or the week after Easter. It's all through March and April. They're all spring break for somebody. So kind of avoiding those. So what I generally recommend, sometimes that I historically find low kid sailings are the last 2 weeks of January, right? School just started after Christmas break. It's just a time that people aren't super comfortable pulling their kids out. And the same thing with the last 2 weeks of September. Most schools have just started. So it's not a great time for parents, feelings wise, to pull their kids out. September does come with some risk of weather. So just keep that in mind for Caribbean sailings. But Generally they are kind of low kid times. There's always going to be kids on board Disney Cruise Line. It is an astounding product for families. So you do have to keep that in mind. Maybe one day, maybe when all 7 ships are here, we'll have an adults only sailing. I mean, let's all just.
That would be something.
It would be something. I know it would sell out in a heartbeat. I absolutely know this, but right now I think that they're already selling out in heartbeats anyway.
Yeah.
So
and even some of those longer sailings. I know I have family that did the 10-day Hawaiian cruise, and there was like 50 kids on the ship because it's hard to get your kids to get to come out of school for that many days. So reach out to Crissi for sure. Let her know kind of what you have in mind, because there might be some options for you based on the 8 different spring breaks and longer itineraries too. Got this question about getting engaged. Does Disney do weddings?
So Disney does offer weddings, and they're actually, if you've ever looked at Disney World or Disneyland fairy tale weddings, Disney Cruise Line are a bargain. Oh my goodness. So they do offer wedding packages on board. It does not discount your cruise fare. They're 2 completely different things. So you will book a cruise, and then the wedding package is an add-on to the bride and groom's cruise. And it includes, packages are $3,500 to $4,500, depending on the location for the ceremony. And they include up to 18 people. So that's the couple plus 16 guests. And everybody does have to be on the cruise. So you can't have people like try to, I don't know, helicopter in or something crazy like that. That's not an option. They have to be actually on your cruise. So they do offer wedding packages, but it doesn't discount your cruise, in any way like that. You could work with an agent. Disney Cruise Line does have the potential for group rates, but you will need a minimum of 10 staterooms in order to be eligible for a group rate. And you need to be working with a travel agent that does that in order to secure a group contract for you.
Got it. Okay. So that sounds like definitely, if that's something you're thinking about, again, I know I said it a bunch, but reach out to Crissi. She can help coordinate. And I mean, that is a steal. I know people who spend just that amount of money on flowers. So
flowers, yes.
Oh my gosh, yes. And another question, can I combine my placeholder and a Disney Plus discount together?
So no, placeholders are a discount that is applied to a full rate sailing. So the best use for your placeholder is the first week that sailing dates are released, because that is when full pricing is the lowest. But placeholders cannot be combined with Disney Plus. If Disney Plus is offered again, by the way, Disney Plus is only offered right now for January through April sailings of this year. So there's very limited actual availability of Disney Plus sailings at the moment. If the Disney Plus discount were to be renewed or come back in a different form, it would still not be able to be combined with a placeholder, because placeholders, there's no combining discounts with Disney Cruise Line. Sorry.
And if I have a placeholder and I want to book something, is it something I have to call in to do? Or
yes, you do have to call in to use your placeholder, or have your agent called in if the agent is listed on the placeholder in order to get that discount applied to the sailing price.
And if I am sailing soon and I definitely want to book, and for those who don't know, do you just want to say what a placeholder is?
So a placeholder is an option that is able to be booked while you are on board Disney Cruise Line. It's super easy now. You book it right there in your app while you're just sitting and enjoying your life. And you basically just pay a deposit of $250 towards your next cruise. And that money that you've paid will get applied to your next cruise. Amazing. And you'll receive a 10% discount on the current rate of that cruise. So if you were to book right now, you'd be getting 10% off today's rate for the cruise that you are looking for. And it is eligible for any cruise within the next 2 years of your sailing date, with a few blackout dates, mainly major holidays, not like all of summer break or anything like that, just a few token sailings over major holidays.
Yes, a great way to save money. And if I'm, if I'm sitting here and I'm like, wow, Crissi is so knowledgeable, which you are, and I want to book with you, I want to have my placeholder booked with you. Is that something easy to do to get a reservation transferred to you?
Yes. So transferring a reservation is always possible as long as the reservation is not paid in full, which a placeholder is not considered paid in full, and it was made within the last 30 days. So if you have an upcoming sailing and you want to book a placeholder on that sailing, you just need to transfer it to an agent within 30 days of disembarking. Well, actually 30 days of embarking, yes, of your embarkation date. And then if you already booked, but it was just last week or the week before, you can transfer that to an agent. Just it has to be within 30 days.
Yeah, so great way to take advantage of the savings and have somebody to help you plan and take advantage of any benefits that come with working with a travel planner.
Yes.
And we'll make these the last couple of questions because I know we are already staring down the end of the night, which is crazy to think about. But when would be the best time to book a placeholder through the course of the Halloween on the high sea sailings?
Anytime during your sailing, you book it from your phone. Go for it. Easy peasy.
Awesome. Yes, and there's no like better time, right?
It's always the same program either way. So the only other option is that if this is your very first sailing and with Disney Cruise Line, not your first like cruise ever, but your first sailing with Disney Cruise Line, and you forget or you just didn't know about a placeholder, then you will receive a Castaway Club offer when you disembark. That is similar. It's not quite as good as 10% off, depending on which sailing you choose, but that is really the only other kind of like discount that's available with Disney Cruise Line. And that's only offered on your first sailing.
Oh,
it's like kind of Castaway Club welcome gift.
Oh gosh,
Castaway and not Club with placeholder.
And then a question about, can you use Disney gift cards to pay for placeholders?
I would believe so, but what it does in the app is it bills your onboard account. So you would need to take that Disney gift card to pay off your onboard account.
Got it.
So technically, yes, but a little bit of a workaround.
Yes. And I know, Crissi, I don't know if you have a crystal ball somewhere, if we foresee any Disney Plus deals coming out in the future, but again, that's a great reason to reach out to Crissi ahead of time. Let her get to know you and your family. I'll include a link again in the comments to her page. As you guys can tell, she's so willing to help. And if a deal does come up, she can apply that for you or let you know, so you're not having to just sit on the Disney Cruise website and refresh until the end of time. So she is here to help. Crissi, anything else you can think of couples cruising wise? I know we kind of got into a Q&A at the end, which is awesome.
Hey, awesome. No, just to consider it. It's a really fun way to celebrate, whether you're celebrating an anniversary, a birthday. My husband and I both have summer birthdays, so we often celebrate our birthdays at sea at one of us. And it's a really great way to have your whole vacation kind of planned for you. Once you get on the ship, everything's done and you can just relax and enjoy each other. So I really love it. And I think that Disney offers something that really, is a step above some other cruise lines in certain ways. So I think it's a great way to just enjoy some time together, even if not both of you are Disney people. So it's still a wonderful time.
Agreed. I was going to say, Crissi and I are both in relationships where we are the Disney ones in the household. If you couldn't tell from us being on here, but even, going with another couple, it's still a great vacation. If you take Disney out of it, it is still a wonderful vacation. So thank you guys so much for joining. If you have any questions, reach out to Crissi. She's here to help, and we'll see you guys so soon. Bye, guys.
Bye.